Comes to talk. Welcome, one and all. And, well, it's a new week, and we got some things to cover and discuss. And, you know, first I want to talk about this Biden cancer announcement. Now, of course, we wish anyone with cancer a speedy recovery, and hopefully the treatments work, and and all of that. That goes without saying. How childish Bidens are, Joe and Jill. And if you follow the history of Joe Biden, by the way, if you are new to my program here on YouTube, make sure you subscribe. This is where MAGA comes to talk. And on my next stream, I'll be in the studio taking live calls. Yep, you can call me CM if you'd like. If you follow Biden throughout, at least in the recent years, right? Time he feels pressure, he acts like a little boy to try to get sympathy from his mommy. And usually he invokes the sad, tragic loss of his son, Beau, and now he's throwing out this cancer diagnosis. And whether or not he has prostate cancer, or when he knew and what he didn't share, and all of this, that's not really the issue. We all wish him well as we would wish any other person well that's suffering from an illness. However, it's obvious why he's doing this, right? The Jake Tapper book is out. That audio of the deposition came out over the weekend. CNN has become almost a 24-hour network talking about Biden's cognitive decline. So he drops this story, him and Jill, to try to garner sympathy from the public so that they'll stop this stuff. And, you got to try to look at this from Biden's perspective, which is the perspective of a senile old coot and the most corrupt president in history. I mean, there is no doubt in my mind that out of all the presidents in history, Joe Biden is the scummiest. There's a very close second with George Bush, with his lies about WMDs that destroyed the lives of millions of people. But, yeah, it's true. But Biden is the most corrupt person we ever. I mean, he's just scum. And, if you look at it from Biden's perspective, I use this analogy maybe too much, but it's how I look at these lawfare lunatics, okay, and these corrupt public officials and people like Biden. They don't view themselves as villains, as bad guys, as criminals. Do you think Joe and Jill sit around in Comey and say, "Man, we're just scummy criminals"? You think Hillary Clinton thinks that she's a crook? No, they don't. They think that they're good people. I know that's hard to fathom, but you're talking about criminally insane people. I just got a text from my friend Mike, so if you're in the chat, I just got the very sad thing. Oh my goodness. I'm not sure if you're in the chat, Mike, but a friend of mine, Mike, just sent me a text about something that happened in his family. It just got awful. God bless you guys. It just popped up at the top of the live stream. These people are criminally insane. They are not self-aware, and the Bidens and the Clintons and the Comeys and all, the list goes on. They don't sit around and tell themselves we're criminals, we're scumbuckets. They think they're good people. I know that's hard to understand. It's hard to get your mind around that. Joe Biden not only thinks he's a good person, he thinks he's the father and husband of the last 100 years. He thinks he is, Father's Day's coming. He thinks he's the best father and best husband the world has ever known. He's crazy. They're all crazy, okay? They're narcissist, lunatic, criminally insane people. And the Bidens feel so betrayed by everyone in their life professionally. He'd been up in Washington since Nixon, right? And They took his nomination away from him that he won and gave it to Kamala, who didn't get a single vote. And now CNN's been doing all this. They're exposing all of his cognitive problems and release the tape and the Tapper book and all of this stuff. And they feel betrayed. So this thing with the cancer, whether it's true or not, and when he knew, and would they've ever told us if he was still in office? That's not the main issue. The main issue is how they're trying to garner sympathy to try to turn the news cycle in a different direction. That's all this is. And it's so painfully obvious. I mean, even Stelter over at CNN is calling it out, right? Yeah, it's completely insane. So, I hate to spend 10 seconds talking about the Bidens. I really do. But we'll have to break it down on the show today, and I will take your calls. And, of course, the big, beautiful bill made it through the committee, so that's all. I told you guys, when Trump comes back home from the Middle East, it'll all be taken care of, and there he got it. So the big, beautiful bill got out of committee on its way to the full House vote. So everything is going perfectly. Well, doesn't matter, but the Bidens, what a normal person would do with the Bidens is they would just retire, right? They would just retire. That's it. But they don't have it within themselves to do that. Now, on my podcast last night, which I hope you guys watched, the Brian Craig Show podcast, I uploaded here on YouTube. It's on all podcast platforms. I played some clips from the Bongino Cash Patel interview with Bartiromo, and man, have I gotten a lot of comments about that. And from MAGA people, and you guys can let me know, and I'll take some calls on this as well this morning on the morning show. What are your thoughts on the Bongino Cash Patel interview from Fox yesterday? Well, the next stream will have the live call-in number in the chat. This is the pre-show, so make sure you subscribe. And that one will be in just over an hour. But most people are very disappointed in that Cash Patel Bongino interview, at least the ones I'm hearing from. All right. Some people said that they look scared. They said nothing. So I'll take calls on that. You guys can let me know what you all think. I think, the interview was a mistake. Go check out my podcast from last night. And in the first segment of the podcast, I go through the whole thing. It's the video before this one on the channel here. I think the interview was a mistake. We want to see some results, right? They like to see just a press conference with some results. Cash Patel said statute of limitations is up on a lot of the lawfare. I don't buy that because they've been doing nonstop crimes. So, but even if, say, statute of limitations is up, as an example, I'd like to see Cash Patel come out with Pam Bondi and Bongino and say, look, the statute of limitations is up on Nancy Pelosi's crime, but this is what she did, and break it down. Those are the kind of things that I think they should be doing instead of interviews. And I think it was a big mistake. And if they don't make some arrest, people are going to be really fed up with it. People are not happy with Bongino, Patel, or Bondi, MAGA people. And the the lawfare crime, the statute of limitations, they said, is 5 years, and we're beyond that for a lot of these things. So I'll go through that and take calls on it. But yeah, it was, you know, it was a big mistake for them to do that interview. Big mistake. Some people that responded to me said that Cash Patel and Bongino look scared. So, but the Biden story, you know, the Biden story is just, they're just sick, sad people, Joe and Jill. The bill will pass, Rick. Don't worry about the big, beautiful bill. It will pass. No, it's not made in China. I don't even know what that means, that it's made in China. So what if it was, but it's not? You're made in the USA. Now, the computer you're watching me on, or phone, may have been made in China. Made in the USA right there, see? I don't know why these trolls always say made in China. What would be the point of that? So what, you know? Try to get the manufacturing back into the country. They oppose what he's doing to do that, and then they say it's made in China. Yeah. Same crap about the cap. That's right. But they, the Biden story will fizzle out in a few days. No, I just showed it's made in the USA. See? But what if it was made in China? Who gives a shit? I mean, what does that mean? If it were made in China, so what does that? So what? You know, Trump's working hard to bring manufacturing back to the United States. You liberal assholes oppose everything he's doing to bring manufacturing back to the United States, and then you say everything's made in China. You know, it's screwed up. You can't have both ways. But no, the Biden story is not going to get them sympathy. It's going to make them look more corrupt, and it's good. And Jake Tapper and CNN are going to be more pissed because they planned on having a week of promotion for the book, and they're not going to let the Bidens stop that. Yep, that's right. MAGA for life, man. MAGA for life. Boy, these garbage men, I wonder what time they get up. Because this cannot be their first stop. And they are here early. MAGA forever. That's right, Janet. If you're new to my channel, my name is Brian. This is where MAGA comes to talk. Make sure you subscribe. Yeah, the Trump tax bill is going to pass. I mean, there's nothing even to worry about. Lori says, Cash and Bongino seem corrupt now. Corrupt or scared? Was that interview like a hostage interview? What do you think? Karina S. just subscribed. Welcome to the channel. Chris Taylor just subbed. Welcome to the channel. I think it looked like a hostage video. Scared, yeah. Yeah, they look scared. They said some things that were good, but I think they just pissed people off. Mike Oxbrown just subscribed. Welcome, Mike. Thanks for subbing. Veritas93, welcome. Good morning. William says, I wouldn't read much into that interview. Then why do it? They looked nervous. Yeah. Well, I'm curious to take calls about the interview. Yeah, I've got Gulf of America hat here in the car. This is a nice hat. I like this. Scotland, welcome. Welcome, welcome. Now, that interview was a big mistake. Big mistake. People want results. doing an interview to kick it down the road. Alaska, welcome. You know, people want arrest. Mm-hmm. And there should be. There should be. You know, for everything they did. You know, we don't want more kicking the can down the road. Right? Mm-hmm. Result in 2 weeks. Well, that means 2 weeks from today. And if they don't deliver, people will remember. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we want results, Janet. That's exactly right. Lori says more nothing. Yeah. Patel did most of the talking because he's the director. Bongino's the deputy director, so, you know, he's got to defer to the boss. That's why he did most of the talking. There was a lot of excuse making, you know, because, you know, oh, we've got to do, you know, we got all these other crimes that we, you know. Yeah, well, you know. Yeah, no, it was not a smart move to do the interview. And one thing Patel says, our schedule's always booked, you know. He's working till 6:30 at night, and you should see my schedule. Yeah, but, you know, we want an indictment. We want one of these lawfare people arrested, indicted, something. Something, you know. Now, I trust them as long as Trump trusts them, but that was an ill-advised interview. It did them damage. I think it did them damage. And now, if they come out with some big indictment or arrest, all will be forgotten. But if they don't come out with something, people will not forget. Yeah, people don't want to see interviews. I'm surprised they did it because there's a lot of, you know, there's a lot of criticism about Pam Bondi doing so many Fox News interviews. Now, I will say, you know, Pam Bondi's being called out, like, you know, by Loomer all the time, and Loomer's turning a lot of people against the Justice Department. There's no doubt about it. You know, there need to be some results. There should be an indictment by now. To me, it looked like they were buying time. Veritas says, why not wait the 2 weeks, then drop it, so to speak? Yeah, they're feeling the pressure to respond. Yeah. Yeah, it looked like they were buying time. Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, MAGA world is, you know, if they don't come up with something, Bongino is going to return to his show with no listeners, okay, when he's out of office at the FBI because people are pissed. But again, if we get indictments or arrest, all this will be forgotten. Lori says they looked weak. Yeah. Why the sudden pressure now? It's not now, it's just, it's going on pretty heavily. Maybe Trump's putting pressure on them. You know, Trump wants his name cleared and these lawfare people brought to justice. So maybe Trump is putting pressure on them. Maybe Trump's pissed at them. Maybe the fear that you saw in their faces was fear of Trump. You know, and they, you know, these guys have been following these stories for quite a while, so they know, you know, they know what the issues are, who the bad guys are. They know where they had to start for their investigations. It's not like they were starting from scratch. No, I'm starting to lose patience too with Bongino and Kash Patel. And I know you guys are too. Let me ask you, yes or no? are you losing patience with, I'm going to put it all in one thing, Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, and Bongino? Yes or no? Have you lost patience with them? Yes or no? Let's see. I'm curious. I think it's going to be mostly yeses. That would be my guess. Mm-hmm. Yeah. 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 Mm-hmm. Hillary Clinton's not going to get prosecuted. You know, it was mostly yeses. A couple of not yets. Yeah. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. One of the things that Kash Patel said that I did not like was that they're sending the information to Congress. Why send it to Congress? Have a press conference and announce it and spell it out to the American people with a big board behind them explaining everything. Sending it to Congress is, that's not where I want things sent. They can send it to Congress, but do the press conference too. Yeah, a lot of the Congresses. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Make sure you subscribe if you're new, guys. I am waiting for Starbucks to open. Expecting some results. Yeah. I mean, you know, I agree. I agree. Don't telegraph your move. Yeah. Yeah, like Bongino, do you think that, now this is one of the clips I'm going to play. Bongino said, no conspiracy with Epstein. What do you guys think about that? I mean, did that do him, do you think that Bongino did permanent damage with himself, to himself by saying that? Is that one of those things that will follow him for the rest of his life, like Chris Matthews with the thrill down the leg? Yeah. That was a mistake. Yeah. Yeah, that really, yeah. Sue says she thinks that he's been threatened. Well, listen. He said, Kash Patel said 2 weeks. And believe me, people are going to take note of that. So he's got 2 weeks. And if nothing comes up in 2 weeks, because I take that as a promise, and I know a lot of people are. They didn't say their priority is Israel. They didn't say that. I didn't even hear them say Israel. They talked about terrorism and things like that. Paul said a career mistake. Well, yeah. No, that was definitely a mistake for Bongino to say. You know, that's what I tell people about these files. The files that they have are meaningless. When people do crimes, they don't make records of it and file it away. They doctor records or make false statements or false reports. And to accept the FBI files as the gospel, that's not good. That's not, you can't. That's why I tell people are always about the files. The files, I don't ever expect anything from the files. I told you guys this before the JFK files were released, because when people are doing crimes, they don't document their crimes and then file it away in government filing cabinets. That, you know, You don't keep records of the crimes you do with these conspirators. I mean, it's, so I never expect anything when files are coming out from the government. But it was most definitely a mistake for them. Just because something's a conspiracy doesn't mean it's untrue. Right? I mean, conspiracies can be very true quite often. Now make sure you guys subscribe if you're new to my channel, all right? No, I always tell you guys, when people talk about the Epstein files or the Kennedy files, I always say, don't expect anything. I mean, anything incriminating, because it's the government doing all the bad, the deep staters. If there was anything incriminating that they get, they destroy it, or they put those files somewhere else where no one will be seen. That's why I never get excited about those things. But I think that Bongino made a mistake saying that about Epstein. There was no doubt about it. I've seen the file. Well, okay. No. Remember there was the story about the guards turning off the camera and all of that? No. Why'd that happen? How did that happen? Now, if he would have had some evidence, like, say, I'm just top of my head, that they found out that Epstein's company had wired however many millions to the guards or to the head of the jail or something so that he could have private, but nothing like that. Yeah. Bongino's a better podcaster than a doer. Well, if they don't have results, he's going to have a hard time returning to his podcast, right? If they don't make arrest of big name people and get indictments, what would happen if he returned to his podcast? Would you be pissed at him? Would you listen? They need to produce some results on this. They really, really do. He hasn't lost his credibility, but he could if they don't produce some results, both of them. But the question is, who are they scared of? Deep state powers that be, or Trump? Because Trump, you think President Trump's happy with the Justice Department right now? All this time, no indictments, no arrests. You think he's happy? Right? I don't know. I would think he's pissed. He's got to be pissed, Trump. Yeah. Oh, he's got to be pissed at them. Oh, Trey, I used to like Trey Gowdy. And he's a big nothing. You can't trust Trey Gowdy. He's all talk, and then when he gets down to it, he does nothing at the last minute. I was glad he left Congress. Oh, yeah, Trump's pissed. Trump wants these lawfare people brought down. First off, he wants his name cleared and wants justice, Trump. But also, if they're not brought down, they're going to be going after him. In the local news here in Florida, Vindman, he lives in Florida, and he gave an interview with the local news over the weekend and is thinking about running for the Senate. Vindman. After what he did, Gowdy used to talk so tough, and then when we get down to it, he would do nothing. Lindsey Graham's similar, but Trey Gowdy's like the worst. And that, I think that's a good comparison to that interview yesterday. The interview yesterday was a letdown. It doesn't matter. No, the statute of limitations is not tying their hands. What the smart thing to do Let's say that, and I don't buy that the statute of limitations has expired because there's ongoing crimes that these people have been doing. So it's not like they did one thing years ago. It's been an ongoing series of things. And if they question them and they lie to federal agents about it, that's a new crime that's not within the statute of limitations. So no, I don't buy the statute of limitations argument. But let's just say that statute of limitations expired, none of them can be prosecuted, which is total bullshit, right? But let's just say it's true for the argument. They still have a press conference. They come out there and they detail, okay, Comey and Pelosi and Milley did this, and the other thing, and on this day they met here and talked to this person. Now the statute of limitations is passed, but this is what they did, and the only reason they're not in cuffs right now in a holding cell is because but they're not. They didn't do that. They could still do that. Statute of limitations, that's a bullshit excuse. I'm sorry. I am sorry. No. So what happened? Why did Cash and Bongino talk so tough the last 4 years, and now that they're there, they're kicking the can down the road? Why? Right? Yeah. It was disappointing. I must say. Yeah. Well, I look forward to taking your calls about it this morning on the next stream. It's hard once you're there. I don't know about that. Is it hard for Trump? I don't think so. I haven't heard anyone in this chat room who's MAGA say they were not disappointed, right? Everybody MAGA in this chat room, in this stream, is not happy with that interview. And I'm not impressed that Kash Patel works till 6:30 at night. Bongino keeps bringing that up. Does that impress you? Doesn't impress me. That's not late enough. He should be living there until these lawfare people are brought to justice. FMI says they looked ineffective. Yeah. Deceptive. Oh. Yeah. No, I'm not giving up on them yet. I'm not giving up on them yet. But I think the interview, what I'm talking about is that the interview was a mistake. The interview was a mistake. I haven't given up on them yet. Now, if Trump fires them, then I. But they did an interview and didn't have anything to show the public that they've done. That was not smart. That's the problem. That's the problem. And I think it's very natural for MAGA people to be very disappointed in that interview. 6:30, Nancy. 6:30. I work harder than Kash Patel. Yeah. Yeah. I know today my alarm went off at 1:30, and I got up and my wife like, Brian, you're getting up too early. You got to sleep another hour in the morning. Well, they have given Kash Patel the keys to the kingdom that he's wanted for the last 4 years on all these podcast interviews. So, but I haven't given up on them at all. But the interview was not good. Not good for either of them. I mean, why did they do that interview? Why do you think they did the interview? Lots of people wearing blue suits, including Biden. All of a sudden, I love how liberals are into proper dress. Here you've got Zelensky walking around in a costume all the time, and that's okay. I think they just pissed off MAGA. Yep, Prince William. A lot of people are in blue suits. A lot of people. Absolutely. I'm a Trump supporter. Are you kidding? Yeah, I know. Why wait? Why not? Hold on, guys. I'm going to have to pull up here to... Starbucks will be opening in a few minutes. All right, dark MAGA mode engaged temporarily. No, it was a mistake. You know, I mean, Dan Bongino, he said, well, I've seen the files. I saw a packet yesterday. Well, you know, you got to show us the packet. You got to show us the files. You got to show us the information. You know, I mean, it's just, you know, I'm just trying to figure out what the point was. The only point I can think of is they were buying time, and I'm sure Trump's putting pressure on them. I'm sure he is. Trump wants this settled. He doesn't want these lawfare people to get away with any of this stuff at all. You know, it's his life that they've been trying to destroy, right? You know, and he wants them taken to the courthouse and tried and convicted and sent to prison because they will harass him for the rest of his life and his family for the rest of theirs if this isn't settled. Plus, he wants his name and reputation cleared publicly for the historical record as well. Well, I mean, we know he's innocent of all these things that they brought up against him, but, you know, he wants the record corrected officially. Right? So, no, Trump has got to be pissed at them. Trump shared, there was the rapid response, which is like the White House response. They shared one clip from that interview. I can't remember which one it was. They didn't share, though, the Epstein or the kicking the can down the road that they were doing. It was one clip. I can't remember the clip they shared. I did retweet it. If you're new, my name is Brian Craig. This is where MAGA comes to talk. Make sure you subscribe. Now, my next stream, which will be in about 40 minutes or so, I'll be in the studio taking live calls. So however you feel on either side of this, you can call me live. There'll be a toll-free number in the chat pinned during that stream, so you can call me. But I'm going to talk about the Biden cancer racket that he's running, and then I'm going to get into this interview. I'm going to start with the Biden story, because that's the top story today. And then after I go through that, I'll get into the Bongino Kash Patel interview. It's got to be discussed. I mean, it's just, both of these have to be discussed. Yep, Gulf of America. This hat's from the official Trump store. I got this when I got the Trump 2028 hat from the Trump store. I got this one too. It is Monday already. Absolutely. It is 5:18 a.m. on the East Coast. The only thing Trump needs to go to jail for is to visit Comey, Letitia James, Fannie Willis, and everything. Gulf of America. It's the official name, Gulf of America. It's been changed. Well, listen, it'll all be resolved, but they bought themselves 2 weeks. There's not results in 2 weeks. Kash Patel's going to have some explaining to do. No, Gulf of America is the official name. The U.S. Geological Survey changed the name on all U.S. maps. Magnetized Monday, yep. It's not in America, and that's not true. We have a lot of coastline with the Gulf of America, and it's U.S. territorial waters 12 miles out. So no, and we have more coastline with the Gulf of America than Mexico does. So no, there's a lot of the Gulf of America that is part of the United States territory. So you are incorrect about that, whoever said that in the chat. Well, names change sometimes, right? I mean, Europe, right? They've changed the names over there. France, when during the Roman Empire, France was still there. It wasn't called France. It was called Gaul, right? So is France not France because they changed the name to France from Gaul, right? What did the Native Americans refer to the Gulf of America as? Should we be going by that name instead of Gulf of America or Mexico? Names get changed all the time. No, similar circumstance, very similar. It's important to change the name to the Gulf of America because it is an American body of water. And it doesn't say the Gulf of the United States of America. It says the Gulf of America, which covers North America, all the Americas, South and Central America. It doesn't say the Gulf. It didn't say the Gulf of the United States of America. It's the Gulf of America, which is the Americas. That's right. So they have not changed. President Trump didn't change the name to the Gulf of the United States. Definitely need my coffee. Sure it is. The Gulf of America is within the sphere of North America. And the Americas include North America, Central America, South America, even the Caribbean is considered part of the Americas. I don't know why people think it's a big deal about Pam Bondi with the Truth Social stock. The reason she sold the Truth Social stock, she didn't buy it. She did legal work for Trump, and they paid her in stock. And now that she's had to move to Washington, she's needed some money for things. She has to get a place to, she's a Florida person. She had to get a place to stay in the D.C. area. She bought a new wardrobe and everything else. She had to upgrade her lifestyle a little bit. She sold the stock for all of that. What's the big deal? And what does the Trump stock have to do with tariffs? It's a social media platform. It's not goods and services that would be affected by import and export taxes. So I don't understand what the significance of that is. A lot of people sold stocks before the tariffs, after the tariffs, the day of. right? Liberals find scandal where there's no scandal, and no scandal where there is scandal, right? I mean, that's just makes no sense. Now, make sure you subscribe if you guys are new to my channel. Yeah, Gulf of America. Yeah, nice. I like this hat. Nope, that's the old name. That is the old name. No, we have more territory of the Gulf of America than Mexico does. Yeah. That's right, and I'm in Florida. I'm on the Atlantic coast, but Florida's a peninsula, and the other side of the Florida peninsula is the Gulf of America. The trolls, they don't know. They just regurgitate liberal crap from MSNBC or CNN or some idiot online. I don't know why you think Mexico is entitled to have their name on the Gulf. They're a criminal nation run by criminal drug cartels. So I don't know why you would go out of your way to give such credit to Mexico. Well, listen, guys, make sure you subscribe. The next stream, I'll be taking live calls, so click that notification bell. I'm Brian. This is where MAGA comes to talk. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next stream, guys.